ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان لكم رقيبا يا الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد إن أصدق حديث كتاب الله عز وجل وأحسن هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر أمور محدثاتها وكل محدث في الإسلام بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. All praise belongs to Allah and Allah alone. We praise Him and we extol Him and we send the finest of salutations and Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where the most truthful of speech is the book of Allah, Quran Majid, and the finest guidance that of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the most evil affairs are the newly invented ones, bid'ah, and every newly innovated matter in Islam is going astray. And every going astray leads to the hellfire. Nasbah al-afiyah al-fabat. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us all safe and success. Ameen. Today, bi'idhnillah, by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the tawfiq and the help of Allah, we're going to continue speaking about some important issues of our deen. Well, alhamd. And it's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that the Jummah khutbah should be one of inspiration. So, bi'idhnillah, I would hope that you would all try your utmost to pay close attention and be attentive to what I'm about to say. Alhamdulillah, over the past few weeks, I've been speaking about matters related to Aqidah Sahih in the Ghaibiyah, of the unseen. I gave a couple of khutbahs in the session regarding the soul's journey after the death of this feeble body. I also spoke about issues related to our iman, our faith, which must stem from having a correct and sound aqidah with tawheed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wahdaniyah. We must understand with a true and strong understanding with iman and faith. And I also spoke about the importance of rejection of shirk, associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and its people, and all form of taghut. We must reject shirk, bid'ah, and their people, and all forms of taghut. What is taghut in a nutshell? It's any person, place, or thing, that material thing that comes in the way of our worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala correctly. There are various forms of taghut which we explained in detail in the last khutbah. So we must remember, my dear Muslim Iman, that although we have a lot of understanding or book knowledge, or we accompany with the people of the Sunnah, until and unless we can find within ourselves a strong iman to be of those who make kufr with taghut, disbelieve, reject, and disassociate ourselves from those people, places, things, ideologies, which go in contradiction to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ by way of ittiba'. We must love Allah and His Messenger and these aspects of our iman in the unseen, ghaibiyah bil ittiba', with following the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. As we have witnessed a lot of atrocities that have been taking place in the Ummah today, Ummah Islamiyah, we can, if we look with a clear eye, we'll be able to see with clarity that all of the confusion has something as it relates to our lack of understanding of the correct Aqidah Sahih. This is our starting point, my dear man, that we need to be able to identify what the correct Aqidah is. And we need to be able to collectivify ourselves around that. That's the pinnacle point of our belief system, in our understanding and acceptance of one another. As I mentioned before, and I said this many times, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had intended for us to be the best example for mankind. Allah told us this in many places in His book. So long as we are following and understanding by ittiba' al-Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Many of us love to follow trends, popular trends, our forefathers, and the likes, and so on and so forth. But we forget the Allah Azza wa Jal. He said that He is intended for us to be the best. As He says in His book, Al-Imran, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. Allah intended for us to be the best example of the people, for the people. This is what we were intended to be. So long as we believe in Allah by forbidding that which is wrong and ordering that which is right. And we must have this iman in Allah in a correct sense. We don't collectivize ourselves around people based on our language and nationality. It must be based on ittiba' Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with a proper understanding of the deen to the best of our ability. Alhamdulillah, a person can be born from a very, as we call it, a low tribe, but be high in estimation of Allah Ta'ala due to his love of ittiba' Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are several narrations which allude to this point. They allude to our weakness, what is causing us to be zil, humiliated, and also what are the solutions. Because the Prophet ﷺ doesn't just give and tell us things to make us feel sad, but he also tells us what is the solution to our problem. I'll give two examples, very clear examples. In the Sunnah of Abu Dawud, Thawban, the free slave of the Prophet ﷺ, he narrated that the Prophet ﷺ, he had stated that soon the nations, listen closely, you might have heard this hadith before. He said, soon the nations will be inviting one another, just as one is invited to partake of a meal. The Sahaba, they were perplexed, they were confused. They asked the Prophet ﷺ, is this because of our small number? Will we be small in number at that day? He said, no. He said, you will be large in number, which we see today. We have an overwhelming amount of Muslims in every nook and cranny of the earth. But what did the Prophet ﷺ say would be our sickness? You will be, I say, you will be like the foam on the banks of the sea. If we see it, go to the lake shore, you'll see what is the weight and what is the substance of that foam. Nothing. It has no weight and it has no value. The Sahaba, they were shocked that we would be like that. We would become like that. In his time, they were small in number but strong and powerful in Iman. When they walked on the side of the mountain of Uhud, it shook. The Prophet ﷺ, he stepped on the mountain, he said, Uskut ya Uhud, be quiet, because upon you is a prophet, a Sadiq, and a Shaheed, meaning Abu Bakr and Umar, anhuma. They shook the mountain. The Prophet ﷺ goes on to explain our sickness, our disease. He said that you will be many, Yawm Eidin, which we are today. But he said you will have the fear removed from the heart of your enemies. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will throw into our hearts wahan. The Sahaba, they said, what is wahan? The fear will be removed from the heart of our enemies. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will throw the disease of wahan into our hearts. The companions asked the Prophet ﷺ, what is wahan? The Prophet ﷺ said, Hubba dunya wa karahiyatul maut. Love of this world and a hatred for death. There are many ayats speaking about this. وَمَا حَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا إِنَّمَا الْغُرُورُ. Allah says, what is the life of this world except a temporary moment of alluring amusement? It's an allurement, a fleeting allurement. It's nothing much than 50, 60, 70, 80. How long we're going to live on this earth? How long? We're always reflecting back to our youth, our youthful time on this earth. And that's only a small amount of time. Al-Hakmu Takatu. We compete for this world. Hatta dhurtum al-maqabir. Until we arrive to our graves. There's another hadith, the Sahihain of Bukhari and Muslim. This hadith is on the authority of Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman. He was known as the keeper of secrets of the Prophet ﷺ. He asked the Prophet ﷺ, the people used to ask Rasul, he said, the people used to ask the Prophet ﷺ about the good. What are the ways to do good? But I used to ask the Prophet ﷺ about the evil. Fearful that the evil might overtake me. So he asked the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, we were once in ignorance, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought about this good. Will there be any evil after this good? The Prophet ﷺ said, yes. Then he said, will there be any good after this evil? The Prophet ﷺ again said, yes, but fihi dakhan. It will be tainted with some smoke, will not be clear. So I asked, وَمَا دَخَلُ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ? What would be its taint? What would be its ambiguity? What would be smoke around it for us not to be able to see it? He said, you will see a people that will guide by other than my sunnah, and you will approve of some of what they say, and you will disapprove of others. I further asked, will there be any good after this evil? Will there be any evil after this good? Yes, the Prophet said, yes, there will be. He said there will be callers, da'wat, callers al-abwab jahannam. There will be callers at the gates of hell. The Prophet gives us another peek into the Aqidah Sahih, that there are many levels and there are many gates of hell. Whosoever responds to their call, then they will be thrown into the hell. Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman, he asked the Prophet ﷺ, Sifhum lana ya Rasulullah. Now he was eager to know. Sifhum lana ya Rasulullah. Describe them to us. The Prophet ﷺ, as-sadiq al-masduq, the most truthful of those who speak the truth, he said to Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman, he said, they are from our people. They are from our people. They are from our jins, our nationality. And they will speak with our tongue, with our dialect. They will speak with our tongue. Hudhayfa said, he asked, what should I do? What shall I do if I reach that time? He said, stick to the jama'ah. Alayka bi jama'ah. The united body of Muslims and their imam. He said, what if there is no jama'ah? What if I cannot find the jama'ah? He said, stay away from all other groups. Avoid all groupism. Stay away from all of them. Even if you have to stay on a mountain and bite onto the root of a tree until death takes you in that state. Stay away from all of those other tafriq groups. So in the first hadith, my dear Iman, if we're paying attention, we will clearly see and listen and understand with our hearts that the Prophet ﷺ said that the disease of the ummah today is wahan. But dunya wa karhiyat al-maut. Love of this world. The root of the disease of all of the problems of this ummah is our lack in understanding that our rizq is maktub. Our rizq is maktub. But we love to follow trends, desires, fashion, style, so many things. But dunya wa karhiyatum, we love this world. We run after this world. We run in haste. We want everything to do with this world. To the point that we're afraid to die. My dear man, this in of itself is an ailment that should disgust us. Allahu Akbar. As the people of the past, the Salaf and the Salih would say, if our sins were on our sleeves, visible for people to see, no one will want to accompany us. Can you imagine being in the company of a person that we know, or he's wearing a tag I love the dunya. I don't care anything about you. I just want to know how I can get money from you. I just want to know what I can get out of you. I don't care anything about anyone except myself and how to make more money to take care of myself. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. In the second narration, the Prophet ﷺ is describing that there will be da'wat, people who are sitting at the doors of the Jahannam, calling to misguidance. By what? Other than the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. He'll be calling us by way of a way in a tariqah and a speech and a lecture which is other than the Quran and the authentic sunnah, as have been understood by the Salaf and the Salih. What is he calling us by way of what? Nationalism, tribalism, about what? What is your call? What are you calling me to? The majority of the ummah has been afflicted by this. If we have ears, if we have eyes, we can see. We only care about ourselves. And this is how it will be. And this is how it is. Because the Prophet ﷺ was Sadiq al-Masduq. So my dear Iman, when we look at this state, when the Messenger of Allah ﷺ told Hudayfa the description of those people, how they will be, they will look like us and they will speak like us. So we shouldn't have any worries and qualms about the non-Muslims infiltrating the ummah. The problem we have is within the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We need to remove that from within ourselves. This is a disease of being a sellout, munafiq, hypocrisy has crept into the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We need to remove those tendencies from ourselves. When we say something, we must mean what we say and say what we mean. This is the beginning of being a true Muslim. No one is accusing anyone of hypocrisy, but we all have the tendencies. We say things and we say inshallah, but we don't mean anything by it. We just talk and we say things and we make promises, but we don't mean anything by it. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. My dear Iman, when I say that, all of the problems that we are facing in the Ummah today, Ummah Islamiyya, is in regards to our lack in understanding and appreciation of the Aqidah Sahih. Many of us don't want to take the time to learn who is Allah. This is the first thing we need to understand, have a bedrock understanding in. With certainty, with yaqeen, with conviction, that our ikhwan, our ikhwa Islamiyya, our Islamic brotherhood is based on conviction, that we love each other, not based on nationality. Because when we say Assalamu alaikum, the next question is, where are you from? Where do we hear this? In a hadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where they greet each other with salam and where are you from? We all know this is true. After Assalamu alaikum, where are you from? It doesn't matter where we're from. What matters is where we're going, where we're headed. We're here today, and tomorrow we're going to go to the next life. This is our journey, each and every one of us. So my dear Iman, if we're united upon the correct aqidah, then inshallah we'll be able to see clearly where our enemies are. From within ourselves, from within the community, from within our families, from within our workplaces, our businesses. All of the problems between husband and wife is because of lack of aqidah, knowledge of aqidah. The woman doesn't know her place and the man doesn't know his responsibility. That's where the problems are. Lack in understanding of the correct aqidah sahih. What does it mean aqidah? It comes from aqd, aqda, aqd al-hibal, or i'tiqad, tying. An agreement, tying of the rope, something that ties us and binds us together. We make that act, the agreement between ourselves and Allah, that we'll love each other for the sake of Allah. La yu'minun ahadakum hatta yuhibbuna lillahi ma yuhibbuna nafsi. This is what the Prophet said. None of you is a true believer. None of you has any iman until you love for yourself what you love for your Muslim brother. But do we do this? My dear Muslim man, there are two great books that I recommend that we all read. Aqidat al-Wasatiyya and Aqidat al-Hamawiyya by Noble Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. We should read these books. Sit down and find one of the Talabat al-Ilm. There are many people here in Toronto, Rexdale here, in Brampton, all over. Many Talabat al-Ilm. There are many small students of knowledge. There are many people who graduated. I can name so many from the Jamia Islamiyya. Sit down with them and go over these books of Aqidah. Aqidah al-Hamawiyya and Aqidah al-Tahawiyya. These books will clarify so many things. My dear Iman, think about it. If we were to wear our mistakes and this Ayub on our sleeves, nobody would want to accompany us. To know that we are a coward and only thing we care about is money. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us all safe and guide us to the right aqidah. Amen. Bismillah, salatu salam ala Rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sallam. Today, my dear Muslim, we're speaking about the importance of holding on to the deen with Tawheed and ittiba' ar-Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and being away from shirk, bid'ah, and the likes and its people and all of those khurafat by kufr bit-taghut, disbelieving and rejecting people, places, or those things that come in between us and Allah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bil ittiba', following the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. My dear Muslim, Allah told us in his book in Al-Imran, verse number 102, Ya ladhina aminu ittaqullaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. Or you have attained faith, have the consciousness of Allah to the best of our abilities, and let us not die, let us not expire except with Iman, except as a Muslim. This should be our hadith in this life. Not how much businesses we can acquire, how much money we can hide and squirrel aside for, as we say, I'm making air quotes, a rainy day. We need to think of how we can make our wealth help us, or look for those who are in need to help them, so as to help ourselves into the next life. My dear Muslim man, there are many adyan, there are many types of, or false types of aqa'id, aspects of worship, different types of belief. But we have to understand, there is nothing like holding on to the correct aqid and manhaj of the Salaf and the Salih. I want to leave us off with this ayah and this tafsir of this ayah, so we can know that there is anything like ittiba' ar-Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is in Surah Nisa, verse number 59, where Allah says, Ya ladhina aminu ati Allah wa ati Rasul uli amri minkum in tanaza'tum fi shay'in farudduhu ila Allah wa Rasul in kuntum tu'minuna billahi wa yawmil akhir dhalikum khayrun wa ahsanu ta'wila. All you who have attained faith, Iman. ربنا جعلنا من أهل الإيمان. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all of the people of Iman. Ati Allah, obey Allah and obey His Messenger unconditionally. You must obey Allah and obey His Messenger unconditionally. And those who are in authority over you. And if you differ with those who are in authority over you, فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولُهُ, return it back to Allah and His Messenger. In kuntum tu'minuna billahi wal yawmil akhir. If we truly have iman in Allah and the last day, ذَلِكُمْ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ أَحْسَنُ تَأْوِيلًا. That is better for us. This verse was revealed in response in regards to an incident that took place. This narration can be found in the Muslim Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, that Ali ibn Abu Talib said that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he sent a troop under the leadership of one Ansari man. And for whatever reason, he became angry with those under his command. And he said, the Prophet ﷺ told you to obey me, correct? He said, yes. Okay, so I order you to go and collect some firewood. Get some firewood. They collected the firewood. He said, now make a fire. He said, make a fire. They made the fire. He said, I order you to jump into that fire. They were about to jump into the fire, but one young man, one young boy came and he said, maybe 14, 15, a young person out of the group. He said, wait, we only ran to the Prophet ﷺ so as to escape the fire. Let us not be hasty. Let us not be hasty until we return back and ask the Prophet ﷺ. If he orders us to jump into the fire, then we'll jump into it. When they returned back to the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ said, if you would have entered into that fire, if you would have jumped into that fire, you would have never entered, never escaped out of it, abadan. Innama ta'fi ma'ruf. Obedience is only in that which is good, which is correct. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cause us all to be obedient slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, al-ittiba' Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on the shuhada, the people who died in the path of Allah in the Gaza Strip. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help and ease our suffering of our brothers and sisters who are struggling in the Gaza Strip. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala soften the hearts of the Muslimin who are residing and living and who have the wealth to be able to help our brothers and sisters who are struggling in the Gaza Strip. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help our brothers and sisters who are struggling and suffering in Sudan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help our brothers and sisters who are struggling and suffering in out of the Sudan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help our brothers and sisters who are struggling in Kashmir. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help our brothers who are struggling in Afghanistan. بكل مكان يا رب العالمين. آمين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي. يا الذين آمنوا اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة. سلام.